welcome back to our Golden 20s podcast. My name is Tegan, and I am joined by my co-host Sadie.
Hello.
And this is the first episode we are recording since Spotify named us as one of the top podcasts of the week. So if you are new, welcome to the pod. I don't know what else to say.
We're so happy you're here. Yeah, honestly, we're just like
honor.
still living on cloud nine.
Yeah. To see our name like listed next to Jimmy Fallon, like what the heck? That's crazy.
We literally thought it was fake. And we're like, oh, like what's this bot account all about now? Like,
yeah.
You know, the world of internet trolls and just fake news left, right, and center. You're like, nope, this can't be real. And then we were like, no, this is in fact real. And our listens have been like skyrocketing since then. So
yeah,
we hope you guys stick around. And if there's anything you want to talk about, you can find us on social media at our Golden 20s. DM us. Tell us what you're liking about the podcast. Tell us what you want to hear, because we are so excited just to have you listen in.
Yeah, definitely. So for September, we've been kind of focusing on back to school themes and that kind of thing, transitioning from summer to fall. And today we're talking about like the work from home routines that we have, as well as some easy like meal prep tips and tricks and that kind of idea, just because September I feel like is a very big month for us on the podcast. It feels very much like a new year, and I think that's
totally
the same for a lot of people. Even if you're not going to school, I feel like it still kind of has that vibe. You can get a new agenda, and you know the summer's always crazy busy, so to be like, okay, back to focus on the important things. So we're going to be talking about our sort of like routines and what we're hoping things will look like in the fall.
Yeah, I feel like we've said this before, but any change of season, I feel like it's also a good time to just reestablish your routine, because maybe you're spending more or less time outside as the weather gets hotter / colder. You know, maybe the types of meals you're making change, and I don't know, just little things like this can change your routine between seasons. So I think we're just gonna dive into that a bit today and hopefully get you guys inspired to change up your routine. I also think a key part of this is reflecting on your routine as it currently is and how it was through the summer. Like, I know for me personally, I am always really busy through the summer and a lot of social plans, and then August is my busiest time at work. So when it comes around to September in the fall season, I'm just so in need of more rest. So I tweak my routine to work in more rest. You know, that's just a personal example, but yeah, I hope this inspires you guys to rejig your routine to make it work even better for you as you take on a new month, a new season, and the last few months of the year.
Yeah, awesome. Did we want to maybe start with our morning routines we can share and then go through the rest of our days?
Yeah, definitely. I can kick us off with the morning routine, and this is really like a classic typical weekday morning for me. I do work from home 5 days a week, full time, hardly ever go to the office, and won't go into the office if I can help it. So I'm full on work from home girly. And all that being said, when I first started working from home, I was also the type of person to like sleep in until like 5 minutes to 9 kind of thing. I'm not a morning person, so it was so nice to start working from home and just kind of roll out of bed and to my desk. But I very quickly learned through the work from home pandemic days that is not good for me. It was like 10:30 by the time I was actually like awake and able to talk to people and have meetings and get ideas rolling around in my head. So I've now started to set my alarm for like 7:30. However, I still have a really bad habit of snoozing my alarm, and I'll literally snooze for half an hour every single day. And this is despite me literally setting my phone alarm, setting it on the opposite side of my room. I get out of my bed every 5-10 minutes that my alarm
Oh
goes
my
off. I
God.
snooze it. I walk back. Yeah, that's how dedicated to the snooze life
Wow.
I am. It's awful. But all this to say, I usually get up around 8 a.m. and I do all my cat mom chores, like scoop the litter box, feed my cat, all of those sorts of things. And then I make my coffee and I crawl right back into bed because I'm just that much not a morning person. But usually I'll spend the next like 45 minutes or so journaling. I have like an ongoing gratitude journal where I just write three things I'm grateful for every morning. And typically I'll like reflect on the past day and write things that were good or I was grateful for from that past day. And I'll just add it to my gratitude journal. Sometimes I journal more, like if it's like something's on my mind or I'm feeling stressed and anxious, I'll just journal it out. Or if I don't journal anymore, then I'll read a few chapters of my book. And I'm doing all this while I'm just drinking my morning coffee and waking up slowly. And then usually like 8:45ish, I'm getting like really specific on the times, but that's just how routine I am in the mornings. But usually 8:45ish, I get out of bed, do my skincare, make my bed, and then I'm ready to log into work around 9. And I feel like you're like, okay, but when are you getting dressed and eating breakfast and doing all those other things in the morning? To be honest with you guys, I log into work around 9. I read my emails, respond to some emails, and then I get up around like 9:30, make my breakfast, probably get a second cup of coffee, and then eat my breakfast while I'm like, I don't know, either jumping into meetings, starting work, things like that. Usually I'm like good to go, ready for meetings and stuff by 10, and then just kind of work away until lunchtime. But that's how my morning looks. I know I need to get up earlier, like snoozing for half an hour every morning is not good. Like, and I know this, yet I still allow myself to do it. So working on changing that, and I know it only gets harder in the winter when it's dark and cold in the mornings. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard to get out of bed. But I feel like I really enjoy a slow, easy morning. And if I were to get up even earlier, I feel a lot of the activities I do wouldn't change. It would just be like more of a leisurely morning, which I really enjoy. So working on that, and then it would be good to eat a little bit earlier just so I'm not eating at 10 and then eating lunch at like noon, doesn't really
Right.
make sense. But I don't know. So that's what my routine looks like. Those are some things I'm like maybe going to try changing up or working. I was going to say working through or like, I don't know, I guess just change up as we talk about like how we can change our routines in the new season. But that's how my mornings look like. What are yours like, Tag?
Yeah, mine's pretty similar. My alarm goes off at 8:30 a.m., but my husband's alarm is earlier. So sometimes I wake up when his alarm goes off, sometimes I sleep through it, kind of depends on how tired I am. Then I will have my coffee on my couch and I will either play my Switch or do Sudoku. And it might seem weird to be like, you wake up first thing in the morning and then play video games, but it's an effort to not be on my phone. And so I play Animal Crossing. I'm obsessed with finishing my museum. I'm very close to doing it. I just need to get those last little
Love
fossils. So every morning I'm like, okay, get the shovel. We're looking for fossils. And that's what I do while I drink my coffee. Something I think talking about in the spring was using the settings like in my iPhone so that I'm blocked from certain apps. I've had that turned off
Yeah.
through the summer just because it's like I'm staying up late a lot of times and I'm traveling and I'm using vacation days and it's just too much of a pain to keep track of. But I would like to get back into that habit for the fall because it makes it like that I can't check my TikTok between 10:30 p.m. and 9:30 a.m. and stuff like that. So I'm considering bringing that back into the routine in the fall. So after I get all my little fossils and bring them to the museum in Animal Crossing, I get dressed in real life and I never work in pajamas. I know that this was a big thing at the start of the pandemic where it was like exciting to be working from home and everyone was like, you don't have to wear hard pants anymore or anything. But I'm very passionate about getting dressed every day. It doesn't really feel like a work day to me if I'm not dressed. And I could still be in comfy clothes, but for the most part, I get dressed in like jeans and a t-shirt. And
Mhm.
yeah, the only time I'll be in pajamas is if I'm like sick and trying to get work done or something. So my work starts at 9:30 a.m. And so when I log in, I track my time because that's what we do at my work. And we have a daily meeting every day at 9:45 to go over everyone's priorities. And so I am on, ready for my meeting. I go over my priorities and then I'll check all my emails and clear my inbox and get ready for the day.
I love that. I When you were talking, I pretty much always am in my pajamas when I'm like responding to emails,
Right.
from like 9 to 9:30. And I kind of like it because again, it's
Mm-hmm.
like I usually put on like, the jazzy vibe playlist or like a cozy
Right.
acoustic morning playlist. And I'm like really romanticizing the morning. My desk is in front of my window in the office. So I feel like Carrie Bradshaw. Like, I just cultivate the vibes and I'm in my
Mm.
cute little jammies and I feel so like cozy responding to my emails. But there's some mornings that are so chaotic
Yeah.
and I don't end up like changing out of my pajamas until like noon because I just don't have a
Mm.
moment to step away from my computer.
Right.
So I feel like that's also part of why I need to change things up or like how my morning routine is flawed because if I log in still in my pajamas, not eating breakfast. There's some mornings where my mornings are so busy, like
Yeah.
out of nowhere, where all of a sudden, yeah, I'm in my pajamas till noon and I didn't eat breakfast at all, like, which is
Yeah.
not good on either account.
Yeah. For sure. No, I feel like part of my routine is because both my husband and I work from home. It's like
Mm,
part of why I'm always dressed is like if I'm ever in the back of a Zoom call, I don't want to be in my
yeah,
pajamas. And,
true.
like I'm on and I am working because he starts his day at 9 and he's a creative director. So it's always like, there's 85,000 fires to put out. We need you to do it. And he's on like 10 calls and he's like typing on two computers. So it's just like by the time I'm
Jeez.
starting work at 9:30, the energy is like we are focused, we are working. And so that's kind
Yeah,
of the vibe I bring too.
yeah. That's good though. I feel like sometimes it's hard to check in when you're working from home. So
Yeah.
it's good you guys set the vibes. Not good that there's always 10,000 fires to put out, but it's good.
For
It's
him.
like, "Okay, it's
Yeah.
work time." Yeah, it's
Yeah.
work time. Time to focus. Let's do it. I
Exactly.
also we can talk about this more later. Sorry, I know this is like only the beginning, but I also love how like simple our morning routines are because I think
Mhm.
this is something I really struggle with as someone who strives to be really productive and really work in
Right.
like self-care to my routine. And, I'm on That Girl TikTok, which is probably not called That Girl TikTok anymore, but I'm seeing girls that are like, my 5 a.m. morning routine. They're
Yes.
up,
Yeah.
they're, making like their pre workout smoothie. Then they go to the
Yeah.
gym. Then they come home and they make their eggs and their avocado toast. Then they shower. Then they do this all before their workday starts at 9. And I'm like, I find that incredibly inspiration. No, it's more
Yeah.
aspirational because
Yeah.
it's not realistic for me. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like I love our morning routines because it's like, okay, look, we know we just need to like get up, like we said, mentally clock in and check in for the day and wake up slowly because that
Mhm.
works for us. That's what we do. So I hope it's good to hear that. And if you are someone that's like, nope, we get up at 5, hit the gym, do all the
Mm.
things, we love that for you, but it's also okay if that doesn't work for you.
Yeah. I'm certainly not a morning person. I do see the
No.
like, the 5 to 9 before your 9 to 5, but I cannot relate. My 5 to 9 is literally
Same.
all sleeping. But
Same.
yeah, I'm a night owl. That's just life.
Me
That's why
too.
I don't shower in the mornings. Obviously, like
Yep.
if that's just the way it happens, it happens, but I will strategically plan to shower not in the morning because I just can't. I want to be in bed as long as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I'm more the what is it, 5 to 9 at night
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
than 5 to 9 in the morning. But Anyways, okay, all that to be said, let's jump into the afternoon. So I think I mentioned usually I take my lunch around 12. And fun fact is, I'm not actually paid for my lunch. Like, I think I work 35 hours a week rather than 40 hours a week. And
Right.
I keep that in my memory because I'm
Mm,
like, listen, I'm
yeah.
very much, if I didn't log off until 12:30, then I'm not going to log back in until 1:30. Like, I
Right.
try to
Yeah.
be very diligent with that because I'm like, no, this is an hour of unpaid time. So anyways, that's just something I wanted to call out because maybe you're in the same boat, but also just how important actually taking a midday break is and your full hour. You can really, I don't know, just mentally use that hour to prepare or like check out so you can
Mhm.
check back in for the second half of your day in much better headspace. So definitely take your lunch break. Like I said, usually take mine around 12, and usually during this time I'll make something quick for lunch. I get on like kicks of what I make. I've gone through big like omelet kicks. Sometimes I just cut up like a whole bunch of veggies, crackers, and have like charcuterie meats, and I'll just like eat all that with hummus. Other times it's like, making a quick salad or a wrap or something like that. But typically it's like things I can make in 20 minutes or less. Don't make a lot of dishes because I
Mhm.
get stressed out when my kitchen's just extremely messy, but I can't do anything about it because I'm working. And then I like to eat lunch on my balcony, or if I don't have to make lunch and I like already have something in the fridge ready to go, then I also like to use my lunchtime to run a quick errand. So if it's like, oh, I just need to run to the pharmacy for a minute or just need to pick up something from the grocery store, like I like to do that at lunch because it just gets me outside and again, getting fresh air, removing yourself from the environment from your environment if you work from home all day every day can be a nice way to just kind of have that midday reset. So I like to do that. If I don't go for a walk and then, just kind of staying home, if the weather's crappy, whatever, I like to sometimes watch YouTube on my lunch, but really I try not to do that too often because I watch a lot of YouTube in the evenings
Mm.
and I want my lunch break to kind of be a screen-free break. But I think that's kind of it for lunch. And then I log back in after my hour is up and then really use my afternoons to do work, like actual heads down work. Do not
Mhm.
disturb mode is on. I try to schedule all my meetings for the afternoon, not so much for the mornings, just because my brain isn't really at full speed in the mornings like it is in the afternoon. I like to like take kind of a coffee, tea, snack break around 2:30 or 3. Sometimes if I didn't go for a walk over my lunch, I like to use this time to walk down to Starbucks or, get out of the house just for a quick 15-minute stroll, grab a coffee, and that's about it. I did have just a few things I wanted to also mention, more on like the tip side of things. Like I said, usually the afternoon is when I'm like heads down, focused on my work. So, just some things that really help keep me in the space is writing down all the things that I'm working on or have to accomplish that day or that week. I just have like a rolling to do list and then spend my afternoons essentially working through those things and checking them off. And to ensure I'm actually doing those tasks and people aren't just, bothering me all the time or emailing me, hitting me up
Mhm.
in a chat. There's not a whole bunch of fires going on. I'm like, do not disturb on my phone. I'll put myself as busy. We use Microsoft Teams at work. So it's like, do not disturb on there. And I also really like to block off my calendar and then assign a task to that time I've blocked off. So if it's like I need to, I don't know, plan out like the September content calendar for our paid ads or something like that, then I'll block an hour in my afternoon and like essentially book a meeting with myself and call the meeting September calendar or something like that. So I find that really helps. And that's something I started doing in my personal life where it's like matching a task to the day. And then it helps me know everything will get done. But I just kind of started applying that to my work life. And I find that helps a lot. And I think the other thing I wanted to call out when it comes to like focus is I think we all have different things that help us get in the zone and focus for me. And I think once you figure that out, it's so powerful. Like for me, like I said, I like to cultivate the vibe in the morning because I feel that it like excites me and motivates me to actually like log in, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be such a nice cozy morning. But in the afternoons, I'm like, AirPods in, do not disturb on. I'm usually blasting music. I'm like lo-fi beats kind of if I need to really focus. If I'm like, I don't know, sometimes I'm like throwbacks like Avril Lavigne, pop punk music. Like really depends what I'm in the mood for, but I'm like blasting this as loud as I can in my AirPods where I can't get distracted because it's like, I don't know, all I hear is music.
Mm.
But it helps me think for some reason. Also, I find sometimes I'm like just drinking coffee through the morning and I haven't drank water yet. So I make like a very conscious effort to drink water in the afternoon. And I always find that helps me stay focused and less like anxious and, jumping all over the place. So I don't know, just some tips I wanted to mention as we talk about like focus time.
Love it. Yeah, I think my afternoons somewhat similar to yours. Like I take my lunch around 12 just because that's when my husband takes his so that we can kind of hang out. I usually have a really light lunch. Like sometimes my favorite lunch is just like bread and butter, and I don't know why. That's like barely even a meal. But it always reminds me there's this Father John Misty song where he says, Emma eats bread and butter like a queen would have ostrich and cobra wine. And I feel like that's me. For some reason, this feels very luxurious to me to just have bread and butter. So that is sometimes my vibe. Obviously, other times I'm having like actual meals, but that's sometimes what you got to do. And sometimes I go for a walk. Sometimes I read. Sometimes I'm doing more Sudoku while watching TV. And I'm just trying to like shut off my brain. I find that especially if I'm doing something very creative, it can be hard on my lunch to not just continue thinking about it the whole time. And so I'm trying to do things where I'm like, turn off your brain, think of something else. And yeah, trying to sort of focus on that. Usually once I'm back from work is when I'll tackle like the biggest thing on my to-do list, because I find that in the morning I can be, like you said, kind of sluggish. And then it's like I have my daily meeting until 10 and then there's only, 2 hours in there and I'm still answering emails or whatever it might be. So sometimes I'll be like, okay, if I need to edit this big video, I'm going to wait until I'm back at 1 and then dedicate my afternoon to it. And so that's usually what's going on when I'm back from work. I usually will take a break at like 2ish or 3, and I can't drink any more coffee. If you've been listening to this podcast, you've heard all about my sleep troubles. And so sometimes I'll have like a Diet Coke, which I hear is like a thing on TikTok where it's like 2:30 Diet Coke break. That's me. And
I love it.
yeah, sometimes it's time for a playlist switch up. I just discovered this thing on Spotify literally today, and I'm so excited. And it's called, hold on, what is this even called? Your Day List. And it's basically a playlist that changes throughout the day. So this morning, it was like on Thursday mornings, you listen to folk. And then this afternoon, it was like on Thursday afternoons, you listen to like country songs with a strong vocalist. And then I just checked today and it's like laid back vocalist Thursday evening. And yeah, I don't know. It's something that's new. And it's basically like a playlist that changes throughout your day, depending on what you've listened to on that day and time previously. And so I find that if I'm getting really sluggish in the afternoon, I'm like, okay, Diet Coke break. And then I come back, I'm like, new playlist. Whatever was happening in the morning's not the vibe anymore. Let's get something different. So that I find can really help you focus or like change mindsets, I guess.
I need to look into this day list on Spotify. That sounds so cool. I always love like the daily mixes that they make. And like you get like, 4 or 5 options or whatever. So there's always one that kind of works for the mood, but that's so cool that it just changes based on time of day and day of week. I love that.
Yeah, this was, like I said, the first day that I've been listening to it, but it's very cool because I was trying out the DJ for a while, the like Spotify DJ. But my problem is, like, I listen to a variety of music he would be like,
Yeah.
we're gonna listen to like, I don't even know, like folk songs from the 70s, and then he'd play 5 of those, and he's like, okay, now we're into pop punk songs of the 90s, then we're into Taylor
Yeah.
Swift song. And it was just like, this is so weird, like it's not working. So this I find
Yeah.
is a little more unified and feels more like a real playlist, but we'll see. I'm curious to see if my days of the week are very different.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's funny, we're probably creatures of habit to listen to the
Yeah.
same things, the same times a day, the same days of the week,
Yeah.
but we don't even really know it. And Spotify's like, don't worry, girl, I got you. All the personal data, we have it, and now we're
Yes.
gonna use it.
Like my Friday
So funny.
playlist, I feel like the vibes are going to be like, woo, it's Friday,
Yeah,
compared to like Thursday where it was
totally.
all like chill, relaxing. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like probably like the days of the week fluctuate. Like I know I have a
Yeah.
lot of meetings on Tuesdays, but my Wednesday afternoons are really
Mhm.
open. And then my Thursday mornings are open, but Thursday afternoons I have meetings. Like my weeks
Yeah.
are very structured with the meetings. So that also will, yeah, kind of dictate the headspace I'm in for that specific day of
Yeah.
the week. So interesting. I didn't mention this, but something I was thinking about randomly was the perks. I really like to take advantage of like the work from home perks. So it's like if I
Mhm.
am having a slow afternoon, I also am like the first to throw in a load of laundry and just
Right.
like, have that going while I'm working away, because laundry is such a like hands off chore where it's like you throw
Yeah.
it in, takes you 5 minutes, and then you're
Forget about
good
it.
for an
Yeah.
hour. Yeah. So I don't know. I love to do that, or like load my dishwasher through the day so it's not like all just piling up and have to deal with it
Mhm.
at night. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's so many things that I do through the day since I work from home. And I'm like, how did I used to do this when I
I know.
went to the office? Like,
Yeah.
how did I have enough time to get it all done? Plus an hour commute there and back. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I am also the type of person who, if I'm going out, I am using my lunch to do my hair,
Yes. Oh my
which
God.
is
Yes.
kind of controversial. Like some people are weirded out by that, but like I've been saying, my lunch is fully for me to just like shut off my brain and stop thinking about work for an hour. And there is no better way to like shut off your brain and go into just like auto mode than blowing out your hair. And sometimes I'm like
Hmm.
listening to music when I do it. Sometimes I'm watching like YouTube or watching a show or whatever. But it's like I'm just chilling. I've got it down so that it takes exactly an hour for me to shower, give myself a blowout, do my makeup, and film a TikTok while I'm doing it. And it's just
Wow.
like I don't even have to think about it. I'm just doing it brain off, watching like my little YouTube shows. And so I do find it quite, I don't know, relaxing. And then you're like ready to go out in the
Hmm.
world. And it's usually like Friday at lunch that I'm doing that. The only thing that's weird is if you have meetings in the morning and then you come back for meetings in the afternoon and you look beautiful. But that's life, baby. That's showbiz. Every meeting in the afternoon, my coworkers are like, "So where are you going tonight?" Because I'm like fully glammed. I'm all changed. And yeah, but
That's
it's
so
great.
funny. Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of shutting off our brains and going out, let's maybe now wrap this up with our night routines. For
Hmm.
me, I'm logging off work around 5, and I love to take an hour after work to, like you said, shut off my brain, do something to like totally disconnect. And since I don't have that commute time anymore, like I'm like, I need to do something that I can wind down after the workday and before I get into my evening. So I like to use that hour to go for a walk or run errands. And again, just getting outside, getting out of my apartment, that really helps me kind of unplug from the work day. I also make a lot of my meals at home, and I like to cook because it's a way that I mentally unplug as well, where I'm like, I
Hmm.
blast my music again. I have like my cooking playlist that I always play. So Spotify would definitely change it up at that time.
Yeah.
But it's just like the best vibes. And it's something to do with like my hands. I'm not on a screen. So I
Hmm.
love to cook dinner as a way to unplug. And Then we usually record the podcast once a week. Usually we record like in the evening around 7. However, all that being said, actually, and then after that, usually my like night routine, wind down routine starts around 9, which is super early considering I don't go to bed / lights out until 11:30. But
Mhm.
like post 9, that's when I'm like showering and doing skincare, reading, like all of the wind down, closing shift type things. But that's kind of like an average night. I also do like to try once a week to make plans to go out with friends. Usually it's like going out for dinner or drinks. Usually have to like go downtown for that, that sort of vibe, or go to a workout class. I'm an evening workout person, so also like to do that a few times a week, at least once a week anyway. So yeah, that's kind of my post work 5 p.m. routine.
Yeah, mine's very similar. I log off at 5:30, usually dinner's at 6:30ish. My husband and I are big film and TV people, so we usually watch at least an episode of a show together or a film as part of our like evening routine. And then I'm the same where my bedtime routine's like 9:30 to 10, getting cozy into bed, reading, chilling, getting ready for the next day.
Love it. Then we wake up and do it all over
Yep.
again.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know we've said this before. Probably every episode we have about routines. I think I slide this in somehow, but might as well do it again today too. But I think if you're someone who is anxious or feels just like unsettled, all over the place, like whatever vibe, and you're like, I just need something to like ground me. I feel like that's really the magic of routines, like having a stable, predictable way to start and end your day, even kind of
Mhm.
like rituals throughout your day. If it's a snack break around 2 or 3, or doing your hair on your lunch break, like you were saying, Tag, like I feel like there's a reason why people have routines,
Mhm.
and it really is great if you can figure out what works for you and then make your routine work for you and get all the things
Yeah.
accomplished and, balance it all. So if you don't have a routine, hopefully this gave you some ideas of how you could start one, but definitely worth exploring for the fall season.
Yeah, and even if you're listening and maybe you don't work from home or you're a student, I do think that the sort of like building blocks of our routines could be applicable for many people's lifestyles. Like if you have class in the morning instead of work, you just swap out the
Yeah.
work portions. But yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, let's round out the episode with some tips and tricks to simplifying meal planning and meal prepping, because I think a big part of my routine, like I was saying, is cooking, if it's making
Mhm.
dinner to unwind after work. But it's also if you're someone who is going into the office, maybe, you have to think of lunch ideas and then have to think of dinner ideas. And it just can
Yeah.
be a lot. But I feel like the meal planning and prepping go hand in hand with the back to school, back to work routine type topics.
Yeah, exactly. I think the first sort of tip as far as like if you're just learning how to cook or you just moved out or you're like tired of eating out all the time and want to get better at your cooking routine is to learn how to make some easy staples. So like when I first moved out,
Hmm.
I learned how to make like really easy pasta dishes where it's like you have 4 ingredients, pasta, nothing you can burn, it's all easy. And so starting simple, and then it's like, then you can add in soups, also really easy. Then you can add in salads.
Hmm.
And it's like if you have 3 or 4 recipes where they're easy to make and you can make them like every couple of weeks, I think that can really be helpful.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like my version of that is having go tos that I alternate between. So
Hmm.
I've been living on my own now for 10 years and I've always liked cooking. And that was something like growing up, my mom always had like her go to dinner recipes that she would make for the family, things like that. So I just kind of took some of those on and then found my own over the years. But I feel like having just a kind of like repertoire of recipes to come back to, it makes it
Hmm.
so easy, because if it's ever like I'm meal planning and I'm like, oh, what do I want to eat this week? It's like I have a handful of recipes that I can just go to at any time. So for me, that often looks like, kind of like you said, Tag, like pasta dishes like spaghetti or goulash. Like those are so simple and easy. And I typically have everything on hand to make those. So it's like easy to whip up. But I also have been really big into some like stir fry type things and like one pan type things. So I have like a Thai basil stir fry, a cashew chicken, and then this like zesty beef bowl recipe. And it's like once a week. Yeah. Or I'm
Yeah.
making at least one of them every week kind of thing. Also like chicken fajitas, chili, like potato soup, like all of these things. These are like my go-tos where I'm like, I'm making at least one of these things every single
Hmm.
week. And then maybe I'm also looking at Pinterest for another meal idea as well. And since I live alone, I really only have to make dinner 2 or 3 times a week. And then I have leftovers for the other days. So I really only need a few meal ideas to get me through a week. And if it's going to be a busy week, or if I feel like, there's a chance Friday's going to come around and I'm not going to feel like cooking, I always like to have a frozen meal in my freezer as well. So this might be like a frozen pizza, a frozen flatbread. At Loblaws, they have like meal kits. So it's like a pad thai kit, super easy. Everything's in there. You just throw it in your frying pan. Maybe a frozen lasagna. Like I love to have those things on hand for when I don't feel like going the whole 9 yards and doing the whole recipe from scratch.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the next step, if you're someone who like has a couple of recipes that you've perfected and you have your go-tos, is to find a cookbook that you love, and this can really sort of expand your cooking. I really love all of Chrissy Teigen's books because they're kind of like staples, but you maybe were never taught. Like her mac and cheese is one of my favorite recipes. Growing up, we had like mac and cheese from a box. So I never knew how you would actually make mac and cheese. And so it's like little
Right.
things like that. Her tomato soup is one of my go-tos now, my favorite. Even just like her grilled cheese, like the kind of things where it's like if you weren't taught how to make these growing up, she explains it really simply. So I think that that can be a good next step.
Yeah, I love that. My favorite cookbook is the Half Baked Harvest. I think it's the simple one. So it's like
Mm.
simple ingredients, 20 minutes or less. However, even just scrolling her website, I get so many ideas and save them all on
Yeah.
Pinterest. So also recommend you check out Half Baked Harvest.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing I wanted to suggest was figuring out what kitchen tools make your life easier versus which ones don't. As someone who was married and was gifted a lot of kitchen tools, I feel like it can be overwhelming. And so I love, love, love my air fryer. This is like the thing I recommend for everyone. I gift so many people air fryers for Christmas. I love it. I feel like it makes my life so much easier. You use it basically as an oven, but it's like it's not getting your apartment super hot. It's really easy to clean. It's good to make just small portions of things, and it's quick. And obviously it's healthy because it's like frying your food without actually frying it.
Hmm.
And I also love
Yeah.
my rice cooker. I have like a little baby one that makes the perfect proportion for 2 people, which I love. Whereas I barely ever use, I have this thing that makes egg bites. Never, I think I've used that once.
Mm.
I have a waffle maker. I have never once used it. And I have a deep fryer I've never used, and an Instapot that I've only used once, which everyone was
Hmm.
like, Instapot will change your life. It did not change my life. I've used it once. So it's all about that air fryer.
Yeah, I also have an air fryer and I like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's also great for like heating up leftovers without,
Yes.
like, when you do
Getting
it in the microwave, it gets
soggy.
kind of soggy. Yeah, the air fryer
Yeah.
is a game changer on that. Love it. I think the last tip I wanted to share with you guys is, as much as I'm like, I love cooking recipes, I take pride in my Pinterest board and, the meal planning, the
Hmm.
grocery shopping experience, I love it. Truth is, some weeks I just don't have it in me to do all that, and
Yeah.
I have to just get my HelloFresh delivered to me. So there is no shame in, I guess, taking a different route and a more convenient route and doing a meal service like HelloFresh. I feel like I'm going to be like, this episode sponsored by HelloFresh, the way I'm talking about it, which it is not. But I feel like, well, actually, Tegan was saying she was just making HelloFresh tonight. Like, we both love it. And I think what's so great about it, again, is I get it for 2 people. So I always make it one night and then have leftovers for the next day. So it's just really great. I will say that I do think it is more expensive than just doing groceries. Like, I only get dinners through HelloFresh. So it is pricey. However, that being said, I do feel like it's cheaper than ordering a week's worth of Uber Eats, you know?
Yeah.
So there's definitely pros and cons. I also think it's a great way if you're just getting into cooking, or if you're someone that's like, I really have no idea where to start with how to get recipes and like ideas. For me, actually 2 of those go-to recipes that I mentioned, like the Thai basil stir fry, the zesty beef bowl, those are actually HelloFresh recipes that I just make over and over again now that I have the recipe cards. So I feel like there's so many great things that come with HelloFresh. Like, it's great to have it for the week, but I feel like it's a great way to just like try new recipes, get comfortable cooking, because they make it so easy, and of course ship everything directly to your house.
Yeah, definitely. We also love HelloFresh, especially we don't get it all the time, but like if we're traveling or have really busy weekends.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah, that's when it comes in clutch, when it's like, I know I'm coming back from my trip on a Sunday night, and Monday morning my HelloFresh will be delivered to my door. Like, so good. Yeah. I love it. I also want to plug our Patreon. I have a vision of like kind of turning our Patreon into a blog. I feel like would be so much fun.
Yeah.
So I want to start this off by coming up with like week's worth. I was going to merge those words together, but coming up with a week's worth of meals. So like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and putting links to the recipes in this article for you guys. Article, blog post, whatever you want to call it. So all this to say, subscribe to our Patreon so you can see that. And if you guys like it, maybe we can do it once a week, once a month, you know, just get lots of ideas out there.
Love it.
Great. Well, that is it, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We drop a new episode every Tuesday, so make sure you are subscribed and following us so you don't miss it. Please also leave us a review and a rating, because that helps us grow. I feel like that's what boosts the algorithm to get us on Spotify's lists of top podcasts of the week. So it really does help us out more than you could know. You can also find us on social media and follow us there. We're at Our Golden 20s. That's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We have a Pinterest account, so you can find some of our recipes and inspo for your routine and things like that on Pinterest. And we also have Spotify playlists. So talking about curating a vibe, check out our Spotify playlist, because we have everything, all the vibes, all the moods, times of day. You can find a playlist to match it. And I think that's everything. I already plugged the Patreon, but make sure you go check it out. You can get content there for as little as $2 a month. So that's it, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.